It's time to step behind the scenes and take a closer look at the Owen Sound Attack. This is Bear Tracker Weekly. Here's your host, JC Coots.
Well, hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 26 of the Bear Tracker Weekly Podcast. My name is JC. I'm the host. Thank you for joining us this week. It's been another exciting week for the Owen Sound Attack, the penultimate week in the OHL season. And the Attack, they played some close, tight games this week, picked up 3 out of a possible 6 points. It started on Wednesday in Brampton against the Steelheads. The Attack playing that makeup game from that game that got snowed out earlier this season. Ended up becoming a school day game for Brampton, and I gotta say, it was loud. I did not attend the game, nor was I able to watch it. In fact, you might know that I work at CFOS, and of course, we do the radio broadcast, and I was listening to Matt and Mark do the play-by-play from Brampton, and all I could hear was kids screaming. It must have been very annoying to a lot of people listening until Tristan DeLille scored, and that silenced the kids for the majority of the rest of the game, right up until overtime when the Steelheads won it. But the Attack skate away with a point on Wednesday in Brampton. They head to Kitchener on Friday, and honestly, they played a great game on Friday night in Kitchener. Again, Trenton Bennett, just unbelievable against his hometown team. The Attack unfortunately give up a goal late in the game. That ended up being the winning goal. They drop a 3-2 decision to the Rangers before they come home for a huge game Saturday night against the Guelph Storm. And that one, the Attack may not have had the best first period, but they were dominant in the final 2 periods. Ended up with a 4-1 victory. 4 Attack players score goals that night, including Caden Taylor, Jake Crawford, Mason Ray, also lit the lamp on Saturday night, as did Nick Sikora with another beautiful goal. And the Attack pick up 2 huge points. And so as of the recording of this podcast, Owen Sound presently tied for 6th place in the Western Conference with the Guelph Storm. Now, that said, Guelph does have a game in hand. Guelph also has more wins for the tiebreaker situation. As of right now, Owen Sound's got 25 wins. Guelph has 27. And after today, after Sunday, both Saginaw and Guelph will have played the games in hand they have on Owen Sound. So both teams will have 3 games remaining in the final week of play. And still no idea where any of these teams are going to finish, where any of the leading teams in the West are going to finish. So we don't know who the playoff matchup is. We probably won't know until the official end of the regular season, hopefully by the time we release next week's podcast. But we'll make sure we know next week who the Attack are playing in round 1. But I can tell you, we've got Caden Taylor and Jake Crawford, both on the podcast this week. Also, head coach Scott Wray will join us. Plus, the Media Room Roundtable gets together to talk about the Attack and also have a little bit of a conversation about, hey, which goalie is going to start Game 1 of the playoffs? So we'll get the thoughts from our panel. Plus, we'll hear from our guests, all coming up. Episode 26 starts now. Well, Caden Taylor has had an up-and-down season, much like his Attack teammates have had this year. The one thing about Caden Taylor that everyone agrees on is that he does have a lot of great special talent, especially good hockey sense and a nose for the net. But there are still some elements of his game that do need improvement, and that's been something the Attack coaching staff have been working on this year. There was a little stretch there where Caden Taylor missed about 4 or 5 games as a scratch, and we were wondering what was going on with that situation, and Caden Taylor kind of answers that coming up in this interview, so you'll find out what he was up to. We have a good conversation about that and about getting back in the lineup and starting again to make a big difference, and looks great on that top line again with Pierce Bowie and Tristan DeLille. Here's my conversation with Caden Taylor after the Attack's win over Guelph on Saturday.
Caden, first of all, huge game, huge win for the Owen Sound Attack tonight, and also a bit of a statement after the last game against Guelph when your team lost 8-1. Looking at this game, it looked like a lot of different things were working really well for Owen Sound tonight. You kept up with them physically, you forced them into turnovers, and of course you got quite a few goals and protected your goalie as well. What did you think of the game tonight?
Yeah, I thought we were awesome. I mean, I guess that kind of shows, when we play our game, we can, we can beat a lot of teams in this league, and I think we kind of got away from that, and I think it also, I know I wasn't in the lineup, but it definitely helped that, we lost 8-1 last time, use that as a bit of motivation and as a bit of a get back as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the lineup, and you've been back in now for a few games. In fact, last Saturday here was, I believe, your first game back in. Brandon Shaw said that was possibly your best game as a member of the Attack, possibly your best in the OHL, and you've just maintained and kind of even gotten better at that level of play as the week's gone on here. Goals tonight and last night against Kitchener. I know it must be, first of all, very exciting to be back in the lineup. What does it feel like, especially to come back in and not only be productive, but also be like a key member of the first line?
Yeah, it's been pretty fun. I mean, obviously I had to, deal with some stuff on my own, and I got to go home for a couple of days to kind of sort that out, and it was a lot of weight off my shoulders, and I feel like I can kind of play now with a little less baggage, and I think sorting that out was the most important thing, because I think, mental health is probably the most important thing, and, the coaches kind of agreed with that, so I think, yeah, it's been so fun, and, we got to just keep it rolling here for the next 5 or 4. Well, we got 3 now, wow. 3. And then obviously in the playoffs.
Yeah, you mentioned the mental health element, and that's a thing now that a lot of players deal with it, and it used to be that, you would just kind of push it down and not talk about it, not worry about it, hope that it would go away. It seems like you and, we just had the CMHA game here at the Bayshore not too long ago. It seems like this generation of players, your generation, really does embrace that a lot more and is able to work through things like that. You don't have to get into specifics, but just, having that opportunity to have a couple days and go home, obviously that must have helped a lot.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, it like I said, it felt like I took a 10-pound weight off my shoulders. And, hockey's a tough sport and, pretty crazy environments from the age of 8 years old. And I guess there's some stuff I kind of buried down and didn't really manage and think about. And I think it was something I definitely should have dealt with a lot earlier in my career. And I think it would have made a big difference to where I am now, but I think it's awesome that I'm figuring it out now, and obviously it'll definitely help me make it to the next level and continue my career.
Well, I was thrilled to see you get back in the lineup last week. You hit a post. You were so close to tying that game last week, but now it seems like you're starting to find that scoring touch again and playing really well, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed for you, and we'll see you back here Wednesday night for Flint.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
The Owen Sound Attack have a handful of energy players, and I would definitely say that Jake Crawford is one of them. He has been great on a line with Nick Sikora and Cole Zarowski since the three of them were put together, and they continue to develop chemistry and are really looking good now as we get into the last week of the OHL regular season. Jake even potted himself a goal on Saturday night, his 14th of the season, and first in exactly 1 month since he last scored on Valentine's Day against his former teammate Carter George. Here's my conversation with Jake Crawford after the Attack's win on Saturday night.
Obviously, this is a huge 2 points for the Attack against Guelph, who, as of now, you're tied in 6th place with the Guelph Storm. What did it mean tonight to get those 2 points and also get a little revenge on a team that kind of spanked you boys a little bit there last Friday?
Yeah, exactly. It was, it was huge. We knew we knew what we had to do coming in this game, and especially like you said last week, and they gave us kind of a lesson there, and we knew it wasn't going to be an easy game, and all the boys in the room were prepared for this, and we went out there and battled and kind of went in with the playoff mentality, and came out victorious. So, yeah.
I think it was goal 14 for you on the season. It comes about a month after your last goal, and it just continues to show really great chemistry between you and Nick and Cole Zaraski on your line. In fact, I thought it was great. It was the two of them that did the digging, and they got the puck out to you for a beautiful goal tonight. What's that line like, and how are you enjoying playing with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Cole Zaraski is, incredible goal scorer and playmaker, and, they have elevated their game in terms of working shift out and shift in, and makes my job easier. And that goal was kind of all their effort down in the corner there, and I got lucky out front, and it was a good goal, and I was happy to kind of break my dry spell there. So yeah.
I'm sure at this point you guys probably aren't really considering who you might face when the season's all done. 1 week from tonight, you'll wrap it up here against Kitchener. Kitchener, obviously, you saw last night. I think the attack the last couple of games against Kitchener has played very well. You'll get to see again on Wednesday how well you shape up against Flint, another possible opponent. And then, of course, Windsor, who you played very well this season. I mean, it's a matter of pick your poison, but is there one in particular that the boys are talking about, or is it just, hey, we're happy with whoever?
Honestly, like all the guys in there are kind of heads down and just grinding it out. There's not too many guys looking at that right now, but at the end of the day, like you said, we face up well against all those guys. We kind of rise to the occasion, and we're not shy to face a Windsor or a Kitchener, and all the teams that are like big, bad, and tough. We're a hard-working team, and we believe in our group, and we can stick kind of with anyone that we put our minds to. So yeah.
It really does seem like, you want to get into the playoffs on a good foot and on a high note, and it really seems this past week like you guys have already started kind of playing playoff hockey, like close one-goal games between Brampton and Kitchener last night, a really good performance tonight in a statement game against Guelph. Just what's kind of the mood in the room, and how has it evolved in the last couple of weeks to where it is now?
Yeah, like 100%. I mean, you obviously do your job very well because the coaches and everyone in the room is preaching this is playoff hockey right now, and we're in the playoff hockey, and we're trying to get it going right before playoffs are coming up, and just kind of sticking to that game and changing our style into like hard work and grinding it out and sticking in games, and it's working right now. So yeah.
All right, Jake. Well, excited to be back here again on Wednesday night. Another big game coming up against Flint. What are you thinking against Flint? Attack have had a bit of trouble against the Firebirds this year. In fact, it was that one game in Flint early in the season where the trade happened between with Erie to send Deck there and bring Royston here. What do you guys do, and what do you think about Flint coming to town?
Yeah, I know they've had our kind of number the past 2 years now, and that's a team that we match up, I feel like, really well against, and no matter the outcome, it's going to be a good game, and we're just going to put our heads down, like I said, and just take it like a playoff game, right? And that's all we can do, and I have no doubt in this group that we can come out victorious.
All right, Jake, go and enjoy the win tonight, get some rest, and we'll see you back here Wednesday.
Awesome, thank you.
Well, time to hear from the head coach about his thoughts on the game on Saturday night, and also a look ahead a little bit to the coming week and possibly the playoffs. Who will they be starting in goal? Here's the conversation with head coach Scott Wray after the Attack's win Saturday night.
First of all, kind of a statement game here after the 8-1 loss in Guelph just over a week ago. Tonight the boys looked really well. I'm sure there were a few elements of the game that you would like to see have come out a little bit differently, but all in all, pretty good effort. What was the thoughts from the coaching staff on tonight's game?
Well, I thought we were pretty lethargic in the first. I don't know if it was just coming off a tough loss last night in Kitchener. It was a high-energy game. When you have those type of games, you have a little lull the next day. But same for them. They went into London, lost same 4-3. We lost 3-2. But I thought after that we were really good. Second and third we pushed and we did what we needed to do, and we capitalized on our chances.
This week it's really seemed like the Attack are now playing that playoff style of hockey, close one-goal games, a game tonight where you win, where you critically needed those 2 points. And it also looks like the lines, they stayed the same as they did last night in Kitchener. Are you kind of happy with where everything is? And is this kind of the lineup that we might see for game one when the playoffs start?
Well, I think so. Like, it gives us a lot of depth, right? Like, it not a lot of holes. It covers up a lot for us. And, it's been the same, ever since, Nelly's been healthy and able to. We had Royston got suspended, and then I was able to put a couple lines together. You have trust in, and you're not afraid to who's going to jump over the boards. There's always going to be a real detailed player on each line that's going to take care of the D side of the puck.
We're wondering when we did the Media Room Roundtable tonight about who the Game 1 starter might be in goal. And obviously, there's still a few games left to play, and it might come down to who the opponent is ultimately. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that, and if it's something that you're willing to tip your hand about.
Well, no, not really. It's totally up in the air. And, I thought Benny had a really good game yesterday in Kitchener, and Corpy continues to play really well. So, the goals or the mindsets to keep going back and forth. The one thing we know is that they, back-to-back games, they've struggled. But they, that's with the amount of games they've played in the league. So that's why we went back with Corpy today. And my mindset's to go back with Bennett on Wednesday against Flint. And then we'll see where it lays. But, after that game, we'll have to really assess. And then those next two probably will be our starter in game one.
Caden Taylor tonight, another goal for him. It's been about 3-4 games now since he's factored back into the lineup, and it just seems like he's getting a little bit better every game on both sides of the puck, of course. And last week, Brandon Shaw said he was probably the best player or best game he's had for the Attack, maybe the best in the OHL. What have you thought about the way that he's been coming along this week?
I really, really like his game right now. I think he's being a lot more responsible on both ends of the rink, and he's going to chip in offensively. It's just cutting down on the defensive turnovers, and he's done a really good job on that.
Pierce Bowie, since he was named captain, I believe he's had 5 points now and just continues to chuck along. I'm wondering, have you noticed that he's almost stepped up his game a little bit since he got the C, or is he about the same where he was before?
He's always the same. He runs just a even line, even keel, but it's probably for him, a little less weight to even have the captaincy, because it was the worst kept secret in hockey. Like, you knew he was our captain. It was just a matter of time to put it on him.
Looking ahead to Flint, this is another possible first round matchup for the Owen Sound Attack. You've had some trouble with Flint this year a little bit, so what do you look forward to Tuesday, and what are you trying to get out of your team against Flint?
Well, we need a good 60-minute effort, and they're a really good hockey team, really detailed. They exit their zone really quick on us. We're going to have to pre-scout them so that we know what their outs are against us and look at our games, because we haven't played them in a long time. So, they beat up on Saginaw pretty good today in Saginaw, so we're going to have to be ready.
All right, Coach. Well, enjoy the victory tonight, and we'll see you back here Wednesday night.
All right, thank you.
Well, the Media Room Roundtable got together on Saturday night at the Bay Shore before the game, and we had a great conversation, which you're going to hear was interrupted by some sound effects. Let me give you the behind-the-scenes story on this before you hear this interview. So I use a little device. It's called a Zoom recorder to record all of the interviews that you hear here on the podcast. If you're watching the video, I'm holding it up to the screen right now. On Saturday night, Chuck, who is a fellow podcaster, asked me about the recorder and some of the features of it. And I mentioned that there's 4 little buttons on the recorder that if you press them, they come preloaded with sound effects. You can put your own sound effects or clips or things on them, but they have little sound effects that are preloaded, like applause and a drum, like a da-dun-dun, if you tell a joke, Unfortunately, Greg Cowan overheard my conversation and decided to randomly press some of these buttons, and in turn press some of my buttons during the recording of the Media Room Roundtable on Saturday night. The funny thing is, Greg and I were the only two not wearing headphones, so we had no idea what buttons were being pressed. But the rest of the guys did. So that is the reason for the sound effects. I am going to do my best to disable this feature before next week so Greg can't do this again. Or maybe I won't disable it if people think it's funny. But either way, here is the Media Room Roundtable. Mark, Matt, Spencer, Greg, and myself before the game on Saturday.
All right, Media Room Roundtable getting together on what is the second to last Saturday night home game of the regular season. Attack facing the Guelph Storm, a team that they will see one more time next Friday night, and also a team that they trail by 2 points for sixth place in the Western Conference standings. Greg Cowan, what kind of a game is this for the Attack?
It's a must-win.
Come on. Don't let him touch that again, JC.
Yeah. We just discovered we have hotkeys available on the recording device that we use for the podcast, and unfortunately Greg is probably going to press a few more of these. That was Matt. All right, guys, let's try to focus here. I know we're all excited about this game, but let's talk about the team. But first of all, there was a great game last night in Kitchener, which is going to lead me into one of the questions I'm going to ask later, but actually, I'll ask it now.
Go ahead.
Now that we're a week out, still don't know who we're going to play in the playoffs. It's going to be Kitchener. It could be Flint. It could be Windsor. Which of those teams do the Owen Sound Attack match up best against, in your opinion? I think Kitchener, again, probably another statement that maybe they are the best matchup for the Attack. But the good news is we'll also get to see Flint coming here on Wednesday night.
Yeah, we'll be able to go off of that game too. But last night, Matt and I were talking about this in Kitchener, and I said it's pick your poison. It's going to be tough no matter what. But if you're saying I got to pick one, I've been in the camp that it would be the Kitchener Rangers. The Attack have beat them twice this year. They've played them close at times, and they know them very well. Although I think the last night's game, with no Matthew Andonovski for the Kitchener Rangers, that probably makes a huge difference. He's a warrior type, and he wants to just kind of bully guys out there. And so you imagine him over a playoff series, the kind of damage he tried to do, right? You put him back in the lineup, Max Diarcolo as well. That adds more toughness to the Rangers lineup. And I think for the Owen Sound Attack, no matter which of those three teams you go up against, you're going up against a team that's going to just try and, like I said, bully you and push you around. So maybe the question is which team might do the least of that. And I'm not sure which one it is. But just going based on results of this year and the way the Attack have seemed to be able to rise and have that familiarity, I'm taking Kitchener.
Also, too, in your answers, does the Belchez injury mean anything for Windsor? I guess is another consideration.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help the Windsor Spitfires, but I'm in the same camp as Mark in terms of pick your poison. You don't want to play any of those three teams. It's just the reality of the situation that you're in right now for the Owen Sound Attack. But just by the numbers, they've beaten the Rangers twice, the Spitfires once, and have not beat the Flint Firebirds yet this season. Could change this week, but Flint's been a really tough matchup for Owen Sound, and I think that's one they probably want to avoid just based on how the head-to-head has gone. Some very physically tough efforts the Attack have had against the Flint Firebirds this season. All three of those teams can do that, but I don't know if I were to pick one. I think I'm with Mark too with the Kitchener Rangers just because of the results they've had. There's got to be a confidence that's there when they play the Rangers, and I'm not saying that I believe that it's a great matchup by any means for Owen Sound, but it's certainly one where you think they have the most level of comfort.
Yeah, there's no matchup on paper where you can look at it and say, oh, yeah, Owen Sound matches up well with this team. I mean, the talent divide is just going to be there. They're bottom team in the conference facing off against the top team no matter who it is. But for whatever reason, this team seems to get up for playing the Kitchener Rangers. I don't know if it's the rink. I don't know if it's the familiarity. So I think in the first round of the playoffs, you'd probably want to go back to that than go into Flint or Windsor. You're maybe not so used to playing. And, it's going to be tough no matter what.
Well, I think you guys mentioned it. Kitchener is the last game this team plays in the regular season here at home, so that will obviously be a massive game for this team, obviously, because by that point you have to assume we'll know who they play, or at least very close to who they play if it comes down to the last day kind of thing in Game 68. But I'd like to say Windsor, because as Matt mentioned, they beat them once, but they played them in the shootout once, and then they lost twice, but it was 3-1 and 3-2. Like, they played Windsor really close. The only caveat to that, all four of those games came back from November or earlier. They haven't played them in over 3 months now. So that is giving me a little hesitation to say Windsor's a good matchup, but, from my personal point of view, seeing them play that Windsor Spitfires team, they've played them very close in those 4 matchups, and now without Ethan Belch as one of their easily best players, I think it's a matchup that I see the Attack not coming out horribly in, but I think the easy answer for me, JC, is that the Flint Firebirds are the worst matchup of the 3 because that team has just been the kryptonite of this Attack team this season.
I'm going to add this as well. This is just a fun, hey, Greg, hey, just some fun little tidbits. All 3 of the matchups kind of have fun storytelling appeal to them. The Flint Firebirds were the last team that the Owen Sound Attack won a playoff game over. That was May 3rd, 2022. It's been some time since Owen Sound has won a playoff game. That was Game 6 here in the Bayshore in the series that Owen Sound ended up losing in the first round in 7 games to Flint. So that's an interesting little tidbit. The Windsor Spitfires, of course, a former head coach of the Owen Sound Attack, runs them, Greg Walters, and he was also the head coach of the Attack the last time Owen Sound won a playoff game. So just some interesting little storylines regardless of who the Attack play in round 1.
Greg just wants to see the Rangers here so he can continue to seek tips for his hair from UC Hocus, as I learned earlier today.
Oh, Mark.
There it is. All right.
Oh, you guys, I wish I hadn't shown you that. Next question I'll ask. A guy that's factored back in the lineup recently has been Caden Taylor. A week ago here at home, I asked Brandon Shaw after the game what he thought, because that was Taylor's first game back, and he said he probably played his best game in an Attack uniform, maybe his best in the OHL since he started in the league. 2 games have happened since. Brampton, unfortunately, I didn't get to see, but I know you guys were there doing the radio call. You were in Kitchener last night. Taylor scored a goal last night. Is he played himself back into the lineup now and has gotten rid of those demons of the past and looks better?
Yeah, Mark and I had this conversation on Bear Radio in Kitchener last night, and you mentioned he scored a goal. I don't think that's the part of his game that anyone's worried about or what they're watching him. Go back to the Brampton game, and we had this chat, but threw a big hit on Reed Gee, was very engaged in the hockey game in terms of battling along the board, and same thing when he made his return to the lineup just over a week ago. Mark mentioned that turnover in the offensive zone, and Caden Taylor made sure after he made that turnover he was going to beat that guy back and make sure that it was not a chance on his net. So those are the elements of hockey and the parts of his game that he's kind of being pushed to ensure that he stays committed to. And that's really the question for Caden Taylor. If you ask if he's back or not, it's if he's going to be committed to keeping to this type of 200-foot play, not cheating out of his zone, always having the same hard engagement level to do the little things that matter in hockey games.
Consistency is key, right? And that's just what it has to be for Caden Taylor going forward. And maybe one of the best things for him is if he can just finish this season the way he's been playing over the last few games. And keep in mind, with there only being so many games left, how many times do we say it's not what you've done for me? Was it what you've done for me lately, right? That kind of saying. So if you're going into the summer and he finishes off this year playing at this kind of level and you see that kind of effort, now you're going into next year thinking, hey, what can this guy do? Now he can go to another level. So I like what I've seen so far. No need to knock him down the lineup or anything like that. And I can think of one play in Kitchener on Friday night where he really saw how he can create space for himself with the puck. Defenders certainly respect his ability with the puck, and they'll back off a bit because they don't want to get burned. And if he can start to use that on a more consistent basis, he's going to have plenty of success.
Yeah, you mentioned you don't have to drop him down the lineup. I thought the coaches did a smart thing by bringing him back in and putting him next to DeLille and Bowie, because that's the type of player he is, right? He has to create those offensive opportunities to have value, and it's also a challenge, right? It's we're not going to hide you on the fourth line. We're not going to throw you into the shallow and to learn how to swim again, and we're going to put you up there where the guys are going to get a lot of minutes, and you're going to have to prove you deserve to be there. And it seems like he's really answered that challenge, and I think we said they kind of need a Caden Taylor whisper, so maybe they've found one of those in the locker room.
I just want to add before you go, Spencer, as well. I was talking to Attack head coach Scott Wray about this last weekend when Caden came back into the lineup, and there's certainly, his skill is recognized by the coaching staff. There's no question about that, what he can do offensively with the puck. Scott actually described it as the type of turnovers Caden tends to make. He called them skill turnovers, man. He was kind of paying credit to the hockey IQ and the creativity of Caden as a player, because he sometimes sees things that no one else does and just doesn't come together, right? So that's there, and everyone has seen that in Caden's game. It's whether or not he's going to be able to keep this consistent commitment to playing a more fulsome style of game, and if he does, I think he's going to, one, help himself a lot and help whatever OHL team he's playing for.
I think the biggest key there, guys, you mentioned it again, it's only a 3-game sample size, but it's been a very good sample size. And you got to hope that he can continue that for the last couple of games in the regular season and then hopefully a playoff run. Because think about it. If a guy that everyone said in the last 3 locations he's been is he's a high-skill player, it's just the other end of the ice where he's got to kind of fix it up. If he's, I'll say, fixed it or at least patched it for now for next year to be able to unlock that and go into the next level of his hockey career, I think that just makes his attack team a little bit more dangerous, doesn't it? And it makes that team maybe a little bit less attractive to play when you look at those bottom 3 teams between Saginaw, Guelph, and Owen Sound. So, again, a Caden Taylor and among all other guys you look down up and down the lineup for the attack, he's a guy you look at and go, man, if Caden Taylor unlocks that box and lets Pandora out, what could this attack team do?
One final question. Has one of these goaltenders played themselves into the Game 1 starting role yet? Will the next week still depend on it, or will the opponent depend on it? If it's Kitchener, probably Bennett. If it's Flint or Windsor, maybe Kaprowski. What are your thoughts on that? That seems to be another mystery.
I thought it was Kaprowski, and then I saw a really good game last night from Trenton Bennett, and so maybe it'll just be a case of over the last 4 games here, who has the better showing. Now, I would guess, though, right now they think it's Matthew Kaprowski. That seems to be just all the indications, the starts he's been getting. But, again, if you're Trenton Bennett, you got to be ready, right, because you could be called upon. And let's be real, I would imagine we're going to see both attack goaltenders in round 1, right, taking on one of those powerhouses.
I think my answer is pretty easy. I think it's Matthew Kaprowski at this point, but I think, as Mark mentioned, I don't think that leash is very long, is the way I'll put it. So I think it's Matt Kaprowski at this point, start Game 1 starter, but I think if there is any turbulence, Trenton Bennett will be quickly put back in the cage.
I think Trenton Bennett played a good game in Kitchener last night, and when he's been called upon to start of late, he's been pretty solid for the attack, but certainly the way the goaltenders have been deployed, it seems that the coaches are leaning towards Matthew Kaprowski. Just look at this weekend as an example. Yep. Kitchener-Guelph, which is the game that you think you have the best chance of winning and the game that you need to win, and who's getting the start for the attack, right? So that it seems that they've kind of, they're going a certain way, and Matthew Kaprowski looks like he'll be the attack Game 1 starter.
Yeah, I just think they probably hope somebody grabbed the reins a bit harder, like a bit firmer grasp of them. So I do think I agree with Spencer that when you get into the playoffs, there might be a game where a guy gets pulled and then they make the switch. Then it's the playoffs are such a momentum kind of swing, and you're trying to just capture whatever little advantage you can game to game. So I imagine I agree with Mark. We'll see both of them.
All right, well, it should be a good game tonight. This game almost a sellout. I'm sure that the last 2 regular season games are pretty close, and no doubt these playoff games, when the tickets officially go on sale, would be pretty big. So attackhockey.com to get your tickets, fans. And gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the Media Room Roundtable.
Wrong one. I wanted the applause. Come on.
Yeah.
There
it is. Greg's not wearing headphones, so he has no idea what buttons he's pressing.
Yeah, get him away from that.
Yeah, that's enough. He lost control.
Well, there you have it. Episode 26 of the Bear Tracker Weekly Podcast is just about done for the week. I want to say a big thank you again to all of my guests this week, Caden Taylor, Jake Crawford, Scott Wray, and of course the media boys, Greg Cowan, Matt Hermes, Mark McKelvey, and Spencer Byers. Thank you all so much for taking the time to join this week, and thank you to you for listening to this podcast. It's always much appreciated. Always appreciate your feedback and hearing from you, whether it's online, a message through our social media, an email to beartrackerweekly@gmail.com, or just seeing you in the arena or out in public. Always appreciate all the kind words. I found out this week from someone, from a colleague of mine, that some of the players do listen to this podcast on a regular basis. So thank you, players, for also listening. I won't say who I heard was a listener, but I do appreciate it. And I guess I don't know why I didn't assume the players would probably listen, but, when you're a teenager and you're busy with your hockey life and you've got a regular life as well, probably the last thing you want to do is tune into a podcast about what you've done all week. But if they do listen, I do say thank you to all the guys, and always appreciate your time when you come on as a guest and answer my dumb questions. It's always very much appreciated. Let's look ahead now to the final week of the OHL regular season and the final week of the regular season for the Owen Sound Attack. It looks like this: a possible Round 1 preview against the Flint Firebirds. That will happen at the Bayshore on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Looking at attackhockey.com, it looks like there's probably, I would guess, maybe 50 tickets left for Wednesday night's game. So if you're thinking about going to this game and seeing who the Attack might be playing in round one, I would get on those tickets pretty quickly. As for after Wednesday night, the Attack, of course, will get one more crack at the Guelph Storm. They're going to head to Guelph. The season series right now in favor of the Attack, 4-3. Should be noted, too, that each team has won a game. No team has won back-to-back against each other this season. So by default, I assume that means it's Guelph's turn, but Owen Sound would love to get those 2 extra points and maintain that 6th position. It's going to depend on a lot of things this week, but the Attacker and Guelph Friday night, that is the penultimate game of the season, and then they will close it out on home ice against the Kitchener Rangers. Another potential first-round matchup for the Owen Sound Attack. And that game I looked at, and there are literally 3 tickets left. 3 individual tickets in different sections left for that game at attackhockey.com. That said, the team might release some tickets this week. You never know. But honestly, it is awesome to have seen these last few games, and these next few games are very, very close, virtually all sellouts, which I know the boys really do appreciate, playing in front of a full building and a loud building. So thank you, Attack fans, for buying tickets these last few weeks, and for buying tickets for the next few games, including the playoffs, which, by the way, as of the recording of this podcast on Sunday night, the playoff tickets aren't on sale yet. I imagine they will be on sale within the next week or so. Keep an eye on attackhockey.com for those details. And we'll also share, too, on the Bear Tracker social media. Once playoff tickets go on sale, we'll share those details so you know to get out and buy them before they're all gone. I think that's going to do it for this week. Of course, next week it will be the season finale, and as is tradition, and I say as is tradition here, we've only done it the 1 year. This is year 2. But with the final regular season game of the season, that's when we'll also salute the OA players on the podcast. So the 3 OAs, the 2 Noahs, Noah Nelson, Noah Roberts, and Lenny Greenberg, they will all be the guests on next week's podcast. So already looking forward to that, and looking forward to what's going to be a very exciting week. A lot of scoreboard watching going to be happening all week long to see where the Attack are going to finish. It's going to be an exciting conclusion to the season. Hopefully a few more wins for the Owen Sound Attack, who, by the way, as of today, have the same number of points, 59, that they finished with last season. They just need one more win to get past or to match last year's win total. So all in all, you know what? A little bit of improvement from last year's team, but that was kind of expected, that it would be a tough year with a young team. But there's still a lot of story left to write for Owen Sound, as you never know what's going to happen in those playoffs. But we'll get through this week first, Attack fans. Thank you again so much for listening and for watching, whether it's on YouTube or on Rogers TV. Wherever you do listen or watch this podcast, make sure you like and subscribe and send any feedback. And that'll do it for this week. We will see you Wednesday night at the rink for Flint. Cheers.
Remember to like, follow, and subscribe at Bear Tracker Pod on social media and wherever you get your podcasts.